All right, let's make some curry. So safety first, put your cocoa on. Don't forget to roll your limes. That way they get nice and juicy and easy to squeeze. This first lime, I'm cutting the cheeks off of, and that is gonna give you the easiest way to squeeze your lime for a garnish. Next, I'm gonna take some of this jalapeno and slice it up for garnish. So now I'm cutting the bok choy in half. It's baby bok choy. Checking it out. It's still a little bit dirty on the inside, so I'm gonna give it a little rinse. Continuing prepping the rest of the veggies. I'm gonna just chop up this whole bunch of cilantro because it's looking a little sad. So I'm just gonna grind it all up. Now I'm just prepping the rest of my mise en place. Got my shiitake mushrooms. Gonna smash this garlic. The reason why I'm doing just quick, kind of rough chops on all of these things is because I'm also going to process it in the mortar and pestle and then ultimately give up on that and go to the food processor. So I'm just kind of chopping all of these vegetables up so that way it's easier to grind. You could just throw everything in the food processor and process it together, and that would be fine too. Really, we're just making a paste for our green curry paste. And of course, you can buy all of these sauces pre-made. You can buy red curry paste, Panang, green, yellow, and it's a lot easier. And it also, if I'm being quite honest, I do prefer to buy it. But for this video, I decided to make it and walk you guys through the process of making your own curry paste. So now I'm just gonna smash this ginger and give it a chop as well. I don't peel the ginger if it's clean. You could see that I was looking at the knobs to make sure that I got enough of the dirt off, and I actually rinsed a little bit more. Here I'm just showing you the rest of the mise en place. All right, so now we've moved on to the mortar and pestle aspect. So I started out with my toasted spices. All of the ingredients that you need are in the recipe. You'll notice some ingredients were a little bit different, like my local grocery store does not have Tide bird chilies, so I did not use those. I replaced them with jalapenos, and it was not as spicy as I would have liked, but that's okay. You can always add more spice to it. You can add sriracha hot sauce, you could add some cayenne, or if you have spicier peppers at home, I would use those. I might actually use serranos next time. So you can see here that this is where I gave up on using the mortar and pestle and moved on to the food processor, which in our industry is what we're gonna use anyways. We're not gonna make large batches in a mortar and pestle, even though that is more traditional. There, I just added in my fish paste. This is easy to omit if you wanna make something that is vegan. This is one of the only items in this whole curry dish that I'm making that isn't vegetarian. And so I've added in all of the ingredients by this point now, and I'm just scraping down the sides and processing, scraping down the sides until I have a nice even looking paste. All right, let's move on to the cooking. So I just threw some coconut oil in the pan, and now I'm gonna sear just one side of my bok choy. And I decided to use my chef presses, which was a great use of them to give more equal weight and just over the bok choy so I can get a nice browning. And I'm just gonna do that with all of my bok choy. I had 3 whole baby bok choy, so that means I had 6 halves to fry. So now I'm adding a little bit more oil. You can add in more coconut oil if you want. I didn't have any handy, so I just went with the regular peanut oil, which is good for cooking at high heat. Already had the chef presses out, so I decided I'm just gonna keep growing with the chef presses and use that to push it down. So this is obviously sped up and I cut out a lot of time, so it takes a little bit longer than what I'm showing here in this video. Now we're gonna fry up the aromatics. If I was using a pre-made store-bought curry paste, I would be adding more ginger and more garlic, more peppers just to give it more aromatics, but all of those are already in the curry paste. So I decided I'm just gonna add in a little extra shallot. So I sauteed for that for a little bit, and now I added in my coconut milk and the chicken stock. So you could use vegetable stock and that would make it more vegetarian, but I had chicken stock, so that's what I used. That's why this is a plant-forward dish. And as you can see, I tasted my dish. I decided that it didn't have quite the flavors that I wanted, so I added more curry paste in. Now things are starting to get even more untraditional with the making of this curry. I've taken silken tofu and I'm blending it into the sauce. Now, if I wasn't making this video, I would have broken out the Vitamix and blended it there because that yields the smoothest product and I would have preferred that. But to make it easier for the video and also for cleanup, I decided to just use the immersion blender, and that worked out fine. This is not traditional at all. I'm using the silken tofu as a way to help thicken the sauce a little bit more because I like a thick curry sauce, but also to add a form of protein to the dish in sort of a stealth health kind of way. You can also take your tofu and sear it or fry it. Those are other ways that I've put them into my curries, and I do enjoy it that way. This is just a new thing that I started doing, and it's just my own little touch. I've simmered the sauce now for about 40 minutes covered, and I'm adding in fish sauce and soy sauce to my liking. Now I'm adding in the bok choy and the mushrooms to the broth so that they can simmer a little bit more. The bok choy needs to cook most of the way still. This also isn't really traditional. I like to sear off the vegetables first and then add them in because I like the taste of the searing, but you can also cook the vegetables the whole time in the sauce. So now I've checked it for tenderness, and we're gonna plate. Rice goes down first, and then I'm going to scoop out some of the vegetables and then pour the curry broth over the top. Then I'll garnish with my cilantro that you didn't see me cut, but I did, and also the limes and jalapenos if that's something that you're into. I'm not, but my husband is. And voila, you have a plant-forward curry. And also Olivia enjoyed it because it wasn't very spicy. So, bon appetit.